Welcome back and thank you for joining me. Well, it's been quite a while since I said I was going to rebuild Bexhill West, and in those intervening weeks and months I've spent quite a bit of time, and you've seen some of my videos where I've been working out what's coming next. So today I'm going to reveal what's next. Now, all the advice that I found on forums and what have you about starting out in P4 was to get yourself a little plank of wood, build a little bit of track and see how you get on with it. So I've got myself a little bit of wood. In fact, that's the piece that you can see here. 6 feet long and just over 2 feet wide. And on it I'm going to rebuild the station platforms of Bexhill West. In fact, there's 2 planks of wood because that's what it's going to take to rebuild just the station platforms themselves. So we've got 12 feet long and I think it's 2 feet 2 inches wide, 1800 millimeters on each board by 650. Now you may ask, why am I doing all of that? I've got perfectly reasonable baseboards, and that's true, but I've sort of not made a mistake, but I have decided that things need to be slightly different. And let me explain exactly what that is. And really the reason for everything being different is this. Now this is the frame for the station canopy, and this runs down this section of platform here. It didn't run around the curved end, just the straight section. And being quite long and fiddly, I made it in one piece. Now there's lots of reasons why I made it in one piece, and I will cover why that was done in one piece in a later video. But it caused me some problems, in as much as when I originally built this, there was a baseboard join, if you remember, just here at the end of this platform. There was another one just here, and there was another one just here. So in order to erect the station, there was 4 separate boards which needed to be joined together. Now that was absolutely fine, no problem with that at all. And in fact there was a good reason why I'd done it in that way, in that I could separate the boards and bring a camera in to sort of get in close to all the detail, and I'd be able to sort of point it in 2 directions and on each joint, and I thought that was a great idea, and it was. However, there was a problem, in as much as if, for example, I wanted to film or photograph just the station building, I would have its board here, but I needed the next board to hold the canopy. And because the canopy is so long and it's relatively fragile, I needed the next board along from that as well. And this caused me problems in that it was fine to set up, it was all quite good in that respect, but if I could film with my camera here, no problem at all. But because of the space constraints I had of where I was filming, in order to film the other side I needed to disassemble everything and turn it round to film the other side, and it was just taking me too long to shuffle these boards about. Now the change in gauge has caused me the opportunity to think, well, could I do this differently? And so that's why I've decided to go with slightly longer yet narrower boards. Now if you remember the track plan, there's actually a long head shunt sidings that run along this side. I'm deleting those just for the moment, they will come later. But I should now be able to build this canopy in one piece. Now this is going to be done in brass, so again it's going to be, it should be quite robust when it's complete, but I want to do it in one long length. Sort of, I don't want fiddly joints that are going to wobble, and so by having this length of the platform all on one board, I can make it nice and rigid. Now similarly, I've got some complex point work on here as well, and given that this is P4, the standards are much finer than 00. That's another reason to eliminate sort of board joints. Now I could get my camera all the way around. In fact, I can bring the camera in closer to the end of the station on this side. I can bring the camera closer in this way also, and bring it closer here still. I will lose the advantage of being able to drop it into the previous baseboard joints, but I think I've got a workaround for that. So that's the idea, that's the basic concept. And this season of the channel, season 2, is going to focus on the construction of these 2 boards. Now fortunately, all the design work's done. The buildings and to a certain extent the platforms are already built, so it shouldn't take too long to reconstruct it. So what we're going to do is just have a quick look now on the main board, and I'll show you how it all goes together, and we should see some hopefully rapid progress, certainly enough to paint a picture of what's to come. Now, real advantage of having laid all of this out in computer-aided design means it's no problem to laser cut the various elements that I need to relocate everything onto the new board. So this is the station concourse, and this is the footprint of the station building, and this will all be engraved with a parquet flooring detail and what have you. So having got that, I can now reinstall the station building. Now, redoing all of this as I have gives me another advantage, because I hit a problem where I got to the point where it was details to be added to this, the guttering and all sorts of internal details, and I didn't want to do those until I had this permanently fixed down. And with the setup as it was, and being compromised with having to disassemble things all the time, I was reluctant to sort of fix everything down permanently, because I had the idea that I might have to lay it all out again differently, sort of gnawing away in the back of my mind. So that's great, and that will be able to drop in position on that end of the board, something like that. I'm actually limited with the size of the laser cutter bed, so this piece has had to be done in two parts. So this piece completes the concourse arrangement and allows for an additional piece to be added just here. And so when these are all fitted up permanently, it means that the refreshment room will sit on the same board, and I'll be able to fix that down sort of all in one piece. Previously the old baseboard joint was just here, and so this thing sort of tottered and wobbled about, and there's a, if I can find a picture I'll put one on the screen. In order to get the camera in here and have that board separately, I'd have a lighting stand under the end of this building holding it up, and it really wasn't satisfactory. It was a moment of time before, you know, it all fell apart. Anyway, that's that piece up there. This is this cupola is that's a dummy one that's going to be replaced. So we've got the main buildings for the station. That's how they're going to go. So with the station buildings in place, the platforms can go back in. Now, clearly I haven't built these up yet, so the platform is higher than the concourse. You have to use your imagination here and imagine that this has been raised up to the height of here, and it probably will have been by the time you see this video. So this will sit here. So all we do is just move the refreshment room over a little bit, because this will actually oversail this structure ever so slightly. But for now, there's the station platform frame. And so here are the platform tops. Now these are not the final versions. I'd run out of thin material for doing these, so these are just dummy ones just for the purpose of this video, just to sort of show you what's involved. Now the end of this one will be cut out, as will the central sort of channel section, in order to get a sort of prototypical slope to the platforms. If you've seen my video, I did a video on station platforms a while back, and you'll know that I'm sort of get this sort of tapering back to the centre of the platform, which is how they were at Bexhill West. So the platforms themselves, platform tops, will go on something like that. And let's just for now, let's put this one over here. Now this particular platform wasn't paved, it was in fact it grew up and became really rather overgrown by the time the station sort of was disused. In fact this platform was disused for I think most of the life of the station, so this was all overgrown with, depending on, you know, when photos were taken, you see it with brambles and all sorts of rubbish scattered across here. I think it was cleared off in 1950 when Bexhill West was temporarily used as a main terminus from the London trains, but for most of its life this platform wasn't used, and it certainly wasn't paved, so we'll have fun sort of modelling grass and brambles and all sorts of rubbish on here. Anyway, that's sort of the station platforms. Let's think about the track bed. Now, one of the really great things about Template, which I've been using to design the track work, is that you can export the files that you create as a .dxf CAD file. And so I've been able to import that into the software I use, and I've laser cut the track plan, just as I did before, onto this cork that I'm going to be using as an underlay. So all the cork for these two first boards has all been prepared, and what I will do is build my track moving forward directly on the cork. So that's sort of this central section. I've got a little bit more to add on this end, which I'll add in just a moment, but there's also the sort of the bay platform on the other side. Now that is, let me move some of this stuff. That's all prepared too. So we've got, if you recall, there's a carriage dock just here. So that's all been prepared. We've got the cork for there and another one to go on there. Now, another real pain of having the baseboard joint here was this Concourse Canopy, in that it's fitted to the station building and also to the refreshment room, and required the main platform canopy. It was all part of its sort of construction. And so with these on separate boards, and the need to disassemble those boards regularly to store them out of the way, meant it could never be fitted properly. So I was unable to finish it. And in addition to that was the little canopy that went over the station exit between the main building and the refreshment room at that end. This was turning out to be quite a nice little piece, but again I didn't want to finish it until it was permanently fitted. So now, with all these elements being on one board, I can get those fitted down, the details can go in, I can finish off the water detail on the back of the building here, get all the guttering on and all of those nice bits and pieces, which I think will make the job look a lot better. Now, the poor old signal box took a bit of a battering in my recent home move, but that's okay because that's all been redesigned. And these walkways around the edge, if I just show you, one side completely broke off during the home move. Well, they're going to be redone in brass with little etched brackets, so I think they're going to look much better for it. Also, when this bit was built, I didn't actually know what the arrangements were to the door in the back, but I now know, so I can tidy that up properly and build a little staircase down onto the station concourse. So there you go. It's been a little while in gestation whilst I did some homework to try and find out whether or not I could build P4 track. I'm still not confident with it, but I'm confident that with practice I will get there. And hopefully this little overview shows you that really this should all come together very, very quickly. And I think in the next week or so we'll see the platforms or the concourse finally fitted, platforms in, track laid. Now my plan is in the next video to spend a little bit of time looking at the wiring up of the track and how I'm going to arrange the electrical feed onto the rails. So there you go. That's where we're at, and hopefully videos moving forward we can see a lot more of the station and sort of the nice bits that I know people enjoy watching. And so then, what are the broader aims of the project? Well, you see me speak about this board here, and there's another one there, so that's a 12-foot long section. There will be, as sort of part of phase 2, another 2 identical boards that will make 12 feet, which will create the carriage storage sidings. And then filling in will be a little board, sort of roughly where the signal box was, the main signal box, which will connect these 2 runs together and feed off across the corner of this board to the engine shed. Now, at this junction here, that runs down to that long head shunt that runs along the side of the station and into the goods yard. So that will be a separate phase in itself, and I might make that the sort of the main focus once this bit's up and running, because I quite enjoy doing the architectural models, and there's lots of lovely buildings and interesting things that will go into that area. So once these 2 are done, I shall probably make this fill-in board, just so I can access the engine shed, and then that will give an opportunity for maybe a fiddle yard or something, and this thing could then be operational. But I think at that point I may well make these boards up very quickly, but the focus will then shift to the goods yard. So there you go, bit of a quick video, but I just wanted to make something which would show you that I'm making progress towards getting everything back exactly how it was, but hopefully even better. Now, there's been quite a lot of activity with the ballast vacuum, but I was hoping to include some of that in this video, but I think this video is already long enough. So what I will do in next week's video, I'll have a little bit of an update about the ballast vacuum, how well that's going, and talk a little bit about international shipping. Now, I don't want to sort of flog a dead horse or over promote something. It was made as a little bit of fun, and I just put it out there to see if people are interested. Well, I know lots of you are, so there will be an update coming in next week's video. Anyway, until then, thanks for watching everyone. Cheerio.